So I thought we would take a little bit of time and talk about the events of Dispatch episode 7 and episode 8. I mean, the game finished and it was genuinely a fantastic game. And I would venture to even say that it's potentially a masterpiece because of how good it was and how many twists and turns and theories that were flying around and people thinking this or that. And it ended up being actually very simple, very straightforward, and that made it even more beautiful. I really love this game. I mean, I really, really did. And I truly believe that it deserves to be in the conversation, at least in the top 6 for Game of the Year. And so, one of the first things that I want to concentrate on is episode 7 in particular. Chase is not dead by the beginning of it. He is in the hospital and he is trying to survive and just barely holding on after using his powers and saving Invisagal. Now, you get to see Blonde Blazer being very loving and caring towards Robert there, which I thought was very beautiful. And it really just reinforced the belief that I had from the beginning that Blonde Blazer is just this really good, pure superhero, very good, pure, loving person. And her relationship with Robert seems very mature, and I loved how she was taking care of him, kissing his hand, giving him some money to go get a snack. It was just all very fun to see. Now, a little bit later, you find out that Invisigal was actually working for Shroud. She was there that night that Robert basically lost the Mechamensu. And a lot of you guys predicted that. A lot of you guys had conversations surrounding that. She said that Shroud promised her an augmentation that would help her use her powers without giving her asthma. And so she planted the bomb there and she left. She said that she felt regretful, that she didn't like what she did and that she wanted to make up for it. And that's why she left Shroud and his team and began working in the Phoenix program over at the SDN. Now, my first immediate reaction was like, okay, we kind of saw that coming, and I forgave her. Honestly, I could tell from the very beginning she was trying to make up for something. I could tell she had a good heart and she was trying to be better, so I forgave her, but she didn't want to fully take that apology. And then she made a move. She made a move on Robert. She tried kissing him, and I pushed her away, and then she tried doing it again, and I had to push her away again. And so Robert rejects her and she disappears. And it was a tough thing. It was a tough thing because you see Robert kind of conflicted, and more so because he's trying to be a good friend. At least in my playthrough, I'm trying to be a very good friend to her, trying to help her out, trying to show her that I do care for her, but maybe just not in that way. And the way that she took it was iffy. But Robert later on would get ambushed by Shroud, who is revealed to be Elliot Connors, or Eli. And he basically starts beating the crap out of Robert with the help of Sonar. Now, this depends on the choices that you make. It's either Sonar or Coop. But Sonar was the one who did it in my playthrough, and I felt that that was the right call for me. It 100% felt authentic and genuine. And so they start beating Robert, and he's getting interrogated by Shroud, asking him where the astral pulse is, because when he took it from Invisigal, it wasn't in the case. Then he finds out that Invisigal actually pocketed the astral pulse before she walked out of the room. And so she basically tricked Shroud and basically tricked Robert. And Shroud is basically taunting Robert, telling him that he's going to kill him like he did his dad. And as this is going on, Blonde Blazer comes again and saves him. And then you see what just power and strength looks like for Blonde Blazer. She comes up, she scares some of the villains, she powers up, and she looks fantastic, fabulous. And Shroud is paying respects, because if you know Shroud from the comics too, he clearly loved superheroes for a while when he was younger. He was a weird guy, but he really loved that power and that display of strength. And I think that display of strength and power that Blonde Blazer showed was something that he was just magnified by and mesmerized by, should I say. And I thought it was really cool. It showed just Blonde Blazer almost at the peak of her powers, just in her prime. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see her light up like that. I absolutely love that. And she basically scared some of them, and then Shroud said, all right, I'm gonna leave. We don't need to fight right now. So he ends up leaving, and then she saves Robert again, takes him where they first met. And then as they're having a nice conversation, kind of figuring out what to do next, the explosions start erupting all over the city. And then Blonde Blazer flies up. She's looking over the city and how it needs saving. And then Robert tells her, hold up, don't leave me here. We got a city to save, basically. And then the story ends with them just looking over the city and going to try to save it, which I thought was like a superhero 101 masterclass. It was a brilliant ending, powerful, good, beautiful, and filled with hope, even though the world seemed to be in chaos. And then when episode 8 began, the city was basically under chaos, and you were connected on the computer for a long while trying to stop and contain the Red Ring and its devastating attacks. Eventually, when you get out of there, Vizzy comes back. And And Roy ties her up and leaves her with Robert. Robert and Vizzy start talking, and Vizzy tells her that she only hid the astral pulse because she thought that Shroud would get him and then take the astral pulse regardless. So she was hiding it, and she wanted to connect the astral pulse back to Mecha Man so Robert could basically become Mecha Man again and use his suit. What ends up happening here is the SDN facility where we work at gets under attack, and the Red Ring is kind of all over the place. Royd is fighting them, and Vizzy is there. And as Royd is looking to be almost overwhelmed, out of nowhere, Robert comes and saves him while he's wearing the Mecha Man suit. So basically, the Mecha Man returns, upgraded with a new design, looking cool, looking slimmer, looking faster. The Astral Pulse is back with Robert, and it was this like great triumphant moment. Moments later, the Z team comes along, Blonde Blazer, Phenomenon, Waterboy, everybody is working together, fighting and trying to push them back. Eventually, Shroud comes and he has this big tentacle spider type of robot, almost like a Dr. Octopus type of thing, and he starts fighting Mecha Man. He starts fighting everybody, and the battle just gets intense and even more crazy. And Blonde Blazer comes in, she tries to fight him, she gets like severely hurt and knocked out, and when it looks like it's basically over and Shroud might win, out of nowhere Chase comes in, just speeding through and kind of saving the moment. And it's because Blonde Blazer gave Chase the little gem that she carries around her chest that gives her her powers, and so Chase was able to get those powers, and he was able to power up, and it's able to keep him alive for the time being, give him enough strength to use his powers. And it's just a really powerful gem. Where did she get that stone that she wears around her chest? We don't know that yet, but that's what ended up happening. And then fast forward through all that mess, and eventually you take down Shroud. At least that's what it seems like. But he has a hold of Beef, and then because he has Beef, he's threatening Beef, he's gonna kill the freaking dog and everything like that, and everybody gets scared. Robert goes up and gives him the Astral Pulse, but he had the prototype and the real Astral Pulse. And here you get to decide what happens, but I ended up giving him both, and it confused Shroud, and this led to him trying the Astral Pulse because he wanted it to actually be able to know what's happening next. Because up to this point, he used a bunch of calculations to predict what would happen next, and that's how he knew what people would do. But this would give him the ability to actually know 100% for certain what comes next. So it was basically to power him up. That's why he wanted the Astral Pulse. He ended up choosing the wrong one, and it caused him a malfunction. He started throwing up, and then Vizzy spawns next to him. And in my case, Vizzy ended up stabbing Shroud in the throat, killing him. She gives Robert the Astral Pulse back, and then she disappears. And that's basically how it ended. And I honestly thought it was really freaking good. I did enjoy everything about episode 7 and episode 8. The only thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way is the fact that with Invisagal, I did everything in my power to be nice to her, respectful to her, to bring her up, to help her character, without having to fall in love with her, without having to have sex with her, without having to kiss her, without all that stuff. I tried to be a great friend and tried to bring her up. I defended her against the Z team. I gave her opportunity after opportunity. I forgave her. I showed her that I was a good friend to her, and this thing popped up on my screen. Invisagal felt neglected, so she chose villainy over heroism. And that really, I was like, really? In none of my interactions with her did I ever tell her off or say it was her fault. Like, I tried helping her the whole way, and for her to feel that way, I thought was kind of, it was really, I didn't like it at all. And I think it deserves its separate video, which I will be doing. But other than that, like I said, I thought it was very good and a very good ending, kind of tied everything together. I really enjoyed how every hero just triumphed. The Z team became a true team. Chase was alive. I love the choices that they made. I love that there weren't any really unnecessary deaths. I love that there wasn't any shock value. Just sometimes you just want a good, simple, straightforward story, and that's what I got here. That's sometimes that's just what I want. You know, I felt so close to some of the games that I played recently, like Expedition 33 or Ghost of Yote, where I thought, oh my goodness, we got a really good story where maybe nobody died, and we actually got to a point where I was so happy and satisfied just to have that good story finally without an unnecessary death or a death that I didn't want or something like that. And every time that I got towards the end, someone ended up dying in those games, and I was just like, God damn it. Like, I was so close, and I was a little bit scared in this game for Dispatch, for these final 2 episodes. I was scared that a twist was going to come and maybe Blonde Blazer was going to be bad. When she walked into the bar in episode 7, I was like shook. I thought, oh my God, I hope she doesn't turn here. Or when we were fighting Shroud, I hope that Blonde Blazer didn't die somehow. Or when we were fighting Shroud, I was hoping, you know, that Roy didn't get killed or something. I just didn't want anybody to die that I just didn't want to see die. And I like that. I like that everybody survived. I love that Blonde Blazer showed what being a true hero is. She gave up her powers for a bit to help Chase and have Chase come back. And now Chase is thriving for now, and they're going to find a way to fix him permanently. So I just thought it was beautiful. It was, like I said earlier, a superhero masterclass. It was just good-hearted fun. And that's what I love. I loved it. That's why I love the game so damn much. That's why I love this story in particular so much. And for my playthrough, Robert and Mandy ended up together, and I thought that was 100% the best choice. And in my opinion, that's how I feel. I felt that everything and all the choices that I made just fit the story perfectly. I could not see Coop as the bad guy. I saw Sonar as the bad guy there. I saw Vizzy as my friend, not a girl or a woman that I wanted to spend my life with, or a girl that, or a woman that I wanted to fall in love with and be with. Mandy, Blonde Blazer, was the one for sure, and Mandy and Robert kind of being together at the end, no superhero powers, nothing. It was beautiful. I love their chemistry, their dynamic. And to be quite frank, the only thing that I was looking forward to was a second date with Mandy. That was teased in episode 6, I believe, and I really thought that we were gonna see the game end with them going on a second date. And I'm fine that it didn't happen, but I definitely was looking forward to it, and when it never came, kind of sad. But I guess they did have like a little mini date there at the end when they shared a drink and laid on top of the roof. So very beautiful. High hopes for a season 2. And we're going to talk a lot more about Dispatch in upcoming videos. We're going to talk about certain things specifically and anything regarding a potential season 2 and other stuff. So stay tuned for that.